Yo, I'm glad you like the song. Let's see, how'd it go? Like, don't you ever stop and think sometimes? Could have been us, could have been wonderful, yes, oh yes. Found a new love in your life. Could have been us, could have been wonderful, yes, oh yes. Something about it don't sit right. Could have been us, could have been wonderful, wonderful, yes. Something like that.
Hello, 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 and good evening. It's evening where I am, and I have a guest. Well, a very, very important guest. Very important guest. In fact, I'm so happy that he's here. Hello, James.
Hello, Esther, and hello, everybody in chat. It's great to be here.
Yes, nice. Good to have you here. Oh gosh, I'm losing my losing my jewelry while I'm on the stream. Uh, how's everyone doing? Let's see who we got in chat. Let's see. Oh, answers in atheism.
Yep,
Hello,
yep, he's
hello.
one of my friends from the community. I love him so much.
I'm subscribed to him. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So yes, I am usually in the comment section. Well, not commenting much, but listening on the conversation, what's going on. So yes, I've been subscribed to Answers in Atheism for a long while now. One of the first ones, when you come on the atheist scene and you start looking for channels to you get
Mm.
recommendations. His was one of the ones that was recommended first. And like, make sure you're okay.
Yep.
So yes.
So his
Electric
streams
Pain,
are
hello.
yep, great.
Sorry, James. Go on.
No, it's fine. Yeah, go ahead. We got Electric Kane in the house, and
Yes.
of course our mod Denisha Freeman, and
Hey,
look at the trees.
hey,
Along with
therefore God. No, no, no. Every
yeah,
time you see look at the trees, you always have to say, therefore
therefore God,
there is God. That's right.
therefore there's God. Sure.
I already have some people says Daddyfreeze is a lazy hypocrite. Oh my goodness. Okay. Never mind. I okay, guys. Now I'm going to first of all, I'm going to put a disclaimer out. And the disclaimer is that here on YouTube allows you to use other people's content as long as you it is transformative, as long as you put your own twist to it, right? So
Mm.
I would what I'm going to be doing here is just reviewing the content of this particular person, right? Some of you may not know who this person is at all, but I will give you a little lowdown, right, of him. But before I do that, I just want James. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, so I am an anti-theist, although I don't usually wear the label of that or atheist. I tend to shy away from labels, and my thinking is nuanced, and so this is one of the reasons I don't like labels because people will make assumptions about you the moment you use them. I'm all about community and building and connecting and growing and learning and helping people have difficult conversations with friends and loved ones about where they're at in their journey, especially if the people you're coming from are very religious, and helping people heal and make sense of where they're at and how we got here and how to move forward. And a very pro community, and that's what I try to do with my channel.
So, going by what you've just said and how you have described yourself, I feel like you would be very good for this conversation, honestly, because you may not know this person, but hopefully by the time I tell you a little bit about him, you'd see why this is a conversation that is needed. So, I'm half Nigerian, and my formative years, I grew up in Nigeria.
Mhm.
The first, the formative parts of my life. And so I was introduced to this religion of Christianity. Didn't really have a choice. And so now Nigeria is a very religious country.
Hmm.
Over 50% are Muslims, 49%, well, 48% are Christians. Less than 1%, about 1% ish, are the others, which are free thinkers, atheists, the spiritualists, just everyone. They just lumped everyone in that number. So you have so Nigeria has a very tiny number of people who don't subscribe to any form of religion. Now, this particular person we'll be talking about today, he, some few years ago, started challenging the norm. He was challenging the Christian leaders of Nigeria because he has a different version of Christianity. He
Hmm.
was more secular, he was more nuanced, right?
Hmm.
Unlike the fundamental way of Christianity, right?
Hmm.
Christianity, in my opinion, in Nigeria has become a mess, a huge mess. And so when he started, now he was a radio DJ. He was on the radio, so he had a bit of clout already. He had a bit of, people had known a bit about him. But then he brought this other aspect of himself out. Now he started debunking the religious leaders of Nigeria.
Hmm.
He started debunking their doctrines, debunking their style, everything. He started debunking. It was fantastic. I joined his crew. I joined whatever he had going on because I said yes, this is what Nigeria needs, right?
Hmm.
And he was quite useful for myself because he got me thinking. He got me on the journey of questioning, yeah, and
Hmm.
debunking stuff. But when I joined his group, it was an online group, online. He didn't have a church, he didn't have a ministry, he didn't have, well, he calls it an online ministry. Now he's teaching the Nigerian people a different version of Christianity, but he hasn't got a church, right? And
Okay.
so I debunked the debunker. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I would go to the Reverend Father of the church, but where I was going to, I would take some of his recordings and some of his things he was saying to the Reverend Father, and Reverend Father was a bit skeptical about some of the things. So I started thinking, hang on a second. Daddy Freeze is debunking this lot here. He's doing a fantastic job. Now, some other people are debunking Daddy Freeze. So who exactly has got it right? Who ex- I just was perplexed. If everyone can debunk everyone in this
Yeah.
Christian game, nobody seems to know who exactly is preaching the truth, then there's
Hmm.
something wrong. There's something
Mm.
absolutely wrong. But
Right.
why this particular person, I feel we need to take him one step further, is because he has, I think, over maybe about 1 million subscribers now. Not on YouTube, I think on Instagram, about 1 million subscribers. And he does church, online church. He started collecting money to help people, but it's his methods. And James, you don't know him, but I would love for you to hear him out, and all of you as well. Let's see whether his version of Christianity is actually. Do you think this is good for the Nigerian Christian? I feel like the Nigerian Christian need to debunk him as well. You need to, you know, yes, he has helped you to. He has opened your eyes
Hmm.
because what started to happen was He was coming at these preachers, coming at the pastors, but all of a sudden he started to walk that back. He started to be friends with those men, and he stopped going after them. So now he's just chilled, not so much going after them. He's now friends with the people who he was telling us are doing the wrong thing. Now he's friends with them. Now he's getting invites to go dance, and it's crazy. It's all, I don't know, this Christian thing.
So while he's becoming their friends, is he also changing his message to match theirs?
To be honest, I haven't really been catching up with him, what he's been getting up to recently. Uh, so I honestly don't know what he's been getting up to this last few months.
Mhm.
But I want us to have a look at some of his ideas. Okay, just give me a minute. Let's see what. So
How far
guys,
back is this? Like the
this is
ideas that you're
about 2-3 years, between the
okay,
last
two or
two
three
three
years.
years.
So he might be at a different place right now, and we'll need to catch up on that as a follow up. But right now, we're talking about 2 or 3 years ago for him.
He's still preaching. He's still preaching online. He was preaching today in church. No, online church. So
But
um
you didn't watch that though today, right?
I went in. I went and listened to a little bit of it. He's talking about money. He's talking
Hmm.
about money. It's always about money. So okay, so guys, why this is important to me is, think about a country like Nigeria that has over 200 million people.
Hmm.
Close to 100 million of people are Christians. They've been listening to these men for so long. Now along comes this gentleman with something different. He was getting a lot of hate. He was getting a lot of, people attacking. But people started tuning in. He might be right. He might be right. And so I suppose a lot of them are lost. Who should we listen to? I know what the answer is. Hence my position. I know what the answer is. As far as I'm concerned, they don't need any of those men, and neither do they need this man. But at least this man still gives them a bit of, you know what? Let's start. Let's.
Hmm.
He has a different message to. I'm just reading a comment here. Says he has a different message to the mainstream. He's just no. I completely disagree about him not being confrontational. At the end of the day, he's got to survive, and his old ways have cost him too much wahala. Okay, you might have a point. His old ways cost him too much trouble, so now he's dancing with the same people he's been attacking. Never mind. Let's go and listen to some of the things he's got to say. Okay, I might need to speed him up a bit. Well, what am I doing? Playback. So, James, if at any point you need to say something, please do just let me know and I will stop, okay?
Sure thing.
I don't know, 1.25 would be good. Okay, so hello everyone. I see all of you in chat. Just want to get this thing. Okay,
Hello, Carol the Atheist, and Robin, and Reverend Mark, and Steve, and Carol the Atheist. Always great to see you. Liasam, and Robin. If anybody else I missed, I apologize, but glad to have you all here.
okay. Context. Oh. I haven't added him to the stream. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
One day I
so
will tell you
sorry.
the truth. You know why I can tell you the truth? Because I don't collect 1 naira from you. If I finish the service today and I asked
4 from beans water.
Okay, guys, let me give you the context of what's happening here. I was still a follower at this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was his birthday. On his birthday, only 2 people gave him a gift. Only 2. And so he was upset. Upset with the people who were his followers. And then he came on stream very upset. He first thanked the people who had given him this gift. And then he then said, "You Nigerians deserve the pastors that you get." He said, "Now I understand why your pastors are the way they are with you. I don't blame them for doing what they do to you. My birthday came along and all I got was just 2 people give me whatever, I don't know, money,
Wow.
present, I don't know." So Lakin Nike says, "Who is Daddyfreeze and what are his beliefs?" Okay, so Daddyfreeze he's half Nigerian, half Romanian. He's a Christian. He has a unique version of Christianity. And so because he's got this unique version of Christianity, he's debunking Nigerian Christianity, the normal what Nigerians see as Christianity. So whatever version he's got the right version. All the others have it wrong. So he's come to clean up Christianity. Anyway, that's just the long and short. Okay, so
Well,
let's go.
that whole attitude's normal, anyways, for Christians. Like they've always got the right version, and everybody else has got the wrong version. That's typical.
But this man has never been to a theology school.
Mm.
He's never been to a university for theology or so. Where is he getting this unique version of the religion? So yes, hey Steve McRae managers, good to see you. Probably a nice little money grab. Don't follow them. I'm the honest one. Everyone seems to have they all have the right version of the thing. Everyone does. Okay, so let's sorry, I talk too much, don't I? Oh gosh.
No,
Taste buds cooked beans.
you don't.
And then I now use the water to do data. So like, you think it is automatic. I never complain. I just do my work. You didn't ask me to teach you. But I also find it a little bit funny that people will not, because we run an online church, you think online church is free. We've been raising 500,000 for the woman that needs a fibroid operation. We managed to raise about 300,000 in almost a month. Are you not ashamed? If you people were not selfish, you think Matthew Ashimolo and all these other people. And let me tell you, I'm really beginning to believe that you are the pharaohs. One day I will tell you the truth. You know why I can tell you? Because I don't collect 1 naira from you.
They are the pharaohs.
If I finish the service today and I asked for, the scriptures are very clear. They said, those who walk at the altar feed off the altar. Let me read it for you.
All right, hold on 1 second.
If you want to hear what?
Those who work at the altar feed off the altar. He doesn't have an altar.
All right.
You're going to say something?
Yeah, one thing. His accent isn't too thick to understand, but it is on what do you have it on 2x speed? 2x?
No, 1.25? Okay. Should I
We've
just
only
leave
got it
him
on
on?
one. Wait, we only have him on 1.25, and he sounds that fast?
He's angry, so
Oh, I see.
looks like he's angry, so he's animated. I put him on normal speed now. Let's
Wow.
Okay. Should we continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody that wants to abuse me, just know that your mouth is 1/10 of my mouth. What I will do to you, you will not like me and you will not like yourself. But anyway, let's leave that. God always warns me repeatedly not to insult people because it's not Christ-like. But I keep begging him for the grace. The Holy Spirit said he will give patience. I've not received it. Maybe it's in the mail. I've not yet gotten it.
Whoa.
So while I wait to get it, let me not say something to somebody that will make the person go and jump. So read some scriptures to you. I want us to talk about these scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Let's do this together. We're good on. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. You see, if the church knew what to do and were doing it, nobody need to ask you for offering. Somebody's telling you, God, God will reward you in due course. So let me ask you a question. What if I don't have a job anymore? What if I can't? How will you watch the live stream? So while I'm waiting for God to reward me in due course, how will you watch? Be thinking now. Is that Gary what I'm asking you? I know, but just know that any day I don't have money, you will not watch, and I will not teach until it.
Okay, so Nigeria is, it's a third world country. The internet, it's quite expensive to access the internet and to do live streams, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whatever he's doing here, he's doing of his own accord. He has taken it upon himself to debunk these people.
Mm-hmm.
So people start to tune in and they start to listen, right?
Right.
Now he's putting it back on them now. Any day I don't have money, sorry, you can't watch me. But you're supposed to be doing better than the men that have taken advantage of so many Christians. Men that have profited off Christians. Men that have bought private jets while the people have gone broke. They're looking to you as the solution. And this is what you tell. He even said to them, did you hear him when he said that the people are like pharaohs? My heart breaks, I tell you. Taye, no worries. Says I'm going home. Okay, no worries. That's absolutely fine, Taye. All right, let's continue and see.
Let's read this together and let's have a proper understanding. Listen, if Christ was supported to the point where they had a treasurer, and but I'm not following Christ too. I'm teaching you antichrist message. I went out pretty harsh. You see, I'm going to apologize for this. There was a time when I didn't understand fully that, and I would take the words of Paul and run with them. Right now in the Free Nation, we've been able to identify Pauline and Peterian concessions, and we do not put them above the words of Christ. Instead of let him charge money to preach the gospel, let him die. That's Paul. It was only, let's read the story. 1 Corinthians, reading from verse 1. Am I not as free as anyone else? Am I not an apostle? Haven't I seen Yahushua our Lord with my, because of my work, and that you belong to the Lord? Even if others think I'm not an apostle, I certainly am to you. You yourselves are proof that I'm God's apostle. Answer to those who question my authority. Don't we have a right to live in your homes? Are you listening? It was a right. It was not an option. It was a right to live, meaning if I come to the US or the UK, I should be able to live in your home if I'm doing Paul's work. It was a right.
James?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. So where do I begin? He's angry. Clearly he's angry, and he's so angry that he feels impatient about it, and so he's been praying to God, please give me the patience to tolerate these awful, awful people who follow my work. And that's exactly not how to build a community, right? If you're letting everybody know that they're unworthy of you because they're not paying your bills, then you need to be doing something else, right? It just, if God, if let's humor the idea. There's a God, and He's all powerful, all wise, all knowing, all loving, everything else, and He handpicks you to deliver a particular message to a particular people. Then it's that God's job to make sure you can afford to do it, right? To create opportunities
Exactly.
for you. And if what you're finding is you can't afford to do the work and it's creating special hardship for you and you're angry about it, then either you're not trusting enough in that God, right? And that's on you. That's not on the people that follow you. It's a bad example to set. Or the whole thing's made up, or there is no God. You're just wasting your life. Or that then maybe a God didn't hand select you for this work. Because if it's not something you're logistically able to follow through on, then either God's dropping the ball or he never tagged you into the ring in the first place, right? So being angry at the people who are already poor, right? Because he's reaching out to people who are already giving way too much of what money they already don't have to all these
Exactly.
other preachers. They are broke, they are struggling, right? And they are listening to him and they're considering what he has to say out of respect. And then now he wants them to feel guilty for the fact that they're not taking more money out of their children's mouths, right? More money that they need for their own cost of living and to stay healthy and to stay functional, and giving it to him so that he can afford to preach a message to them. And it just, if there's a super being in the sky who needs us to do a thing, then it's the super being's job to fund the thing, to make sure that this thing can happen. And it doesn't really make any sense, anyways, that a god needs humans to do this work. And there's an old movie from the Star Trek series where James Kirk makes this same point. The clip is called "Why Does God Need a Starship?" And the point of that scene in the movie is, here we have this hypothetical being who's all knowing and all wise and all powerful, and yet he turns to fallible creatures to be his vessel, to carry his power and wisdom to all corners of creation. And because there's this barrier between his domain and ours, and so he needs us to bring his wisdom across that barrier into the people, right? So the starship represents the idea of a vessel, right? Or a chariot or a book or a human being, right? Th- for us to carry this knowledge, this wisdom, this message to other people doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
because an all-knowing, all-wise, all-powerful being would be able to do that for himself and would be responsible enough to do so, right? Never trust a human to do a god's job, because they will mess it up and then they will literally damn their audience for noticing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're not qualified. If there's a perfect being out there with the perfect message, we are not qualified to translate those words, right, to other people. We're not qualified to bring that message to other humans, because when it enters our mind, it gets a little bit corrupted because we're imperfect people. And then when we speak it, it gets further corrupted because we're not perfect communicators. And then when someone else hears it, it gets further corrupted because they're not perfect listeners. And because the words mean a little bit something different to them, right, than they mean to you. This is exactly why there are so many different people that have different understandings of Bibles in the first place. Because no two people have ever read the same book.
Same thing.
That's
Exactly.
it. And so
Exactly.
so he's accidentally testifying to the core problems in Christianity and not even realizing it. And he's getting mad at all the wrong people for how
Mm,
badly it's going for him.
exactly. And you see, I told a couple of people, couple of friends, Nigerians, that I would be doing this stream,
Hmm.
and they have asked me to tread carefully. They've asked
Hmm.
me, please do not say any bad thing about him. You know, a lot of people idolize him.
Hmm.
So, uh, thank you,
I
James, for
understand.
being here. So you can say whatever you want, okay? You don't
Right.
know
So
him. You.
it's always a bad
But
idea to put people up on a pedestal like that. And
well,
I always tell people, it's good to be inspired by other people, right?
yeah,
But never meet your heroes. Do not
no.
meet them. Right? Because there is always going to be this disheartening difference between this idealized figure in your mind and the truth of the person you've idolized. And this is why, if I ever became an influencer and somebody nominated me for like a Humanist of the Year award, I would turn it down.
Oh
Right?
wow.
I would turn it down.
Wow.
and for the same reason that I think Dawkins so many years ago should have, because when
Mm,
somebody appoints you as a representative for their ideological view and their value
right.
system and their identity, then their expectation upon you is
Mm,
to uphold a certain consistency with the way that they think and the way that they navigate the world and relate to other people.
absolutely.
And so what happens then is you put yourself in this position where now you've got to be careful and dishonest even about who you are. You got to
Mm,
you have to filter yourself to make sure that you never speak your whole truth, because then eventually you're going to say something that is not consistent with somebody else's views and values, right? And then they're going to get mad at you because their idea was that you're obligated to uphold and represent their views and values, their identity, their narrative, because they gave you an award for it, or because they idolized you for it, because they propped you up for that. and
yes.
and so it's an unfair relationship paradigm to
Mm,
expect this man, and in fairness, it is not fair to put him on a pedestal. It's not fair to him, because if that's going to come with certain expectations and obligations, that from then forward he's obligated to honor the way you think, the way you navigate the world, the way you make sense of the human experience, then you're going to be let down because he's an individual human, right? And he's not
can
perfect.
I
None of us
can
are.
I
Go ahead.
can I just say, he feeds off the attention. He would. I don't think he would be given the same circumstances. He would act the opposite of yourself, James.
Mm,
He wants the attention. He wants to be seen as the answer to Nigeria's problem, right? Nigeria's Christian problem. Now, I'm going to say something here, and I'm going to be very. I will put a disclaimer out. I may be wrong, but word on the street is that this man is an atheist. Word on the street, atheist
mhm,
communities, they've said, look, he hangs out with us in our little communities. He likes our posts. He, some years ago, he was in this group, and, you know, I've never seen any of these. I've never, but some people are convinced that he's an atheist. This guy's in as a Christian, but has
mhm,
just found that you gain more followers, you gain more popularity, you gain more respect when you put the God, when the God factor is added into whatever you've got going on, then yes, people gravitate towards that. But
mm.
when you say you're an unbeliever in Nigerian circles, nobody cares. Listen, whatever you've got to say, no one wants to know. So I may be wrong. He might just truly have a God belief. I'm just going on what's been said in atheist circles in Nigeria. Oh,
Mhm.
he's an atheist, that sort of thing.
Well,
So
there could be lots of different reasons for that. Like somebody who's very religious and disagrees with him might want to say, "Oh, I bet he's an atheist," as a way to discredit him, as a way to
right.
say, don't put any stock in what he says. He's the enemy, right? He's a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of a thing. But then there could be other people that have different reasons for saying it. So, and I tell people, I'm like, atheist is not really a meaningful designation anyways, right? It shouldn't be a badge of honor to be an atheist, because it's like being a non-leprechaunist, right? There's nothing specifically virtuous about not believing in leprechauns. It doesn't elevate you in any meaningful way or significant way over people who might suspect leprechauns are real, right? It's weird if somebody thinks leprechauns are real, but it's not really a moral difference, right? And so when somebody, for example, tells me that they think Trump's probably an atheist, I think they're probably right. Right? I think that he just manipulates his religious audience as a political maneuver. I think he doesn't believe in a God. He doesn't care about that crap. And so, it's not sociologically meaningful to me. Like it's not a moral proposition to believe in a God or not believe in a God. That's not where I draw the line. Now,
Right.
a fundamentalist will say it's theists against atheists, or it's Christians against atheists, because that's the polemic that they're
Mhm.
trying to put forward as a way to they're us versus them in-group, out-group, we're better, they're worse, right? We have to have an enemy to identify with. But I try to remind atheists in our community that we do not have to buy into that polemic, that us versus
Right.
them narrative, because that's, if there's going to be a line that needs to be drawn somewhere, it's not there, right? All
Mm, mm,
theists are not our enemy. They're not. In fact, all Christians are not our enemy. And the better Christians, the more reasonable, mature people who are Christians recognize this, right? And but it's the fundamental, the immature narcissistic fundamentalists that don't recognize this, and they think that it's meaningful, and they think that if you're an atheist, you're awful. And we don't have to have
mm.
the discussion right now, but I understand why some people are saying they wonder if he's secretly an atheist, but I think it's moot. Like, I think they just need to move past it and say it doesn't matter how much of what his real beliefs are. What matters is what he's saying
Yes,
and
there you go.
what effect that's having.
And that's my focus. My focus is the words coming out of his mouth. That's my focus. Anything else really doesn't matter to me. But when you
Mm.
have these conversations with people, this is what they do say. So, Electric Kane, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Oh, his name? His name is Carol the Atheist. His name is Daddyfreeze. That's his radio. He was a radio DJ, but it's since it has carried on with him. Quite popular in Nigerian circles. So yes. Okay, let's continue with his speech.
Standard. Don't we, I'm reading 9 and 4. Don't we have the right to live in your homes and share your meals? Don't we have the right to bring a believing wife with us, as the other apostles and the Lord's brothers do, and as Peter does? Meaning, Peter carrying his wife. They live inside people's houses, was so in every way by all of them. If I don't teach you this, I'm teaching you Antichrist message. Or is it only Barnabas and I who have to work to support ourselves? Let's imagine that there were only 10 disciples. And out of 10, only 2 work. Is that majority or minority? 20% work, 80% were taken care of by the believers. Because I don't preach it. Why don't I preach? Does not mean that I can stand to condemn it. Because if I stand to condemn it, I'm teaching you an Antichrist message. Hello, am I connecting with you people? The fact that I don't teach it, the house every day and work, does not mean that it is wrong. Somebody say, stop this stylish begging, it's embarrassing. Let me just remove you.
Somebody in the comments said, stop this stylish begging. It's embarrassing.
So it is
I
embarrassing.
love
He should be
people.
embarrassed.
I love people. So he
Yeah.
says, the next thing he says is, he says, let me, he's about to block that person. At this
Right.
particular time, anyone just, when you say anything that he didn't like, you get, it's an automatic block. He blocks you. So
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the state of Christianity in Nigeria. And when I see when things like this happen, it's just more evidence for me that the God that these people claim to serve doesn't exist, cannot exist. How can God allow people to go on in his name like this and treat his people like this? I don't know.
Right. So right, it's how he's behaving isn't reasonable. In fact, how he's reasoning isn't reasonable, because if you look at the texts where that kind of a relationship existed with money,
Mhm.
it was um what's the word I'm looking for? Communal, right? So these Christians would get together and they would live together. They'd live in these small little communities. They'd share housing. They'd share land, right, in order to survive. And so within that context, the people who joined those communities, they would sell off all their property and they would donate it to the community. And so the whole community had money, right? The whole church had money. And so you wouldn't get the missionaries wouldn't get their money from individuals. They would get it from the church that was sponsoring them, and the church would get its money from the people who joined and who sold all their possessions as part of joining, right? And it was this communal project that happened, and the reason for this was because they believed the end of the world was about to happen in their lifetime. And
Yeah.
so the justification was, don't worry about working and thrift and things like that. Sell all your stuff, donate it to the
Yes.
community, live communally, because any day now the end of the world's going to come. Well, that was like 2,000 years ago. Prophecy failed. Let's move on.
No, no. Thanks for saying that, because you just put a spotlight. I've never thought of that. Now, when these people read from, this is why the Bible is a contextual book.
Mhm.
It fits a certain narrative, it fits a certain group of people. Those people were waiting for the return of Jesus. They thought that any day now, Jesus would come in the skies and take them home. That's why they were free to give up everything they had. And James, don't forget, we still have that conversation of Ananias and Sapphira, because it just
Mhm.
blends nicely with this. Ananias
Right.
and Sapphira sell a part of their property. No, well, they sell their property and keep some for themselves. And what does Peter do? Peter asks them, "Where's the rest?" or whatever. I don't know. He asks them, and straight away, both people are killed. It was their property. And
Mm.
never mind when Christians come and tell you, "Oh, the Old Testament. We don't do the Old Testament anymore. We are the New Testament crew. We follow the words of Jesus. We follow the words of Peter." This event where Ananias and Sapphira are killed for their own property happened in the early church, the early, what they now call Christianity.
Mhm.
You kill people over their own property.
Mhm.
How is this moral?
Mm-mm.
How is this just?
Right.
Oh,
It's
Paul,
not.
Paul
It's not.
Scatler, let me just thank Paul Scatler. Paul Scatler, thank you very much. Paul says he appreciates Electric Game. I appreciate you both. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Yeah. So a couple things real quick. Christianity, as most people here know, developed in stages. Now, in the context of the stories, they weren't Christianity until later. They were just a Jewish sect. So the Jesus character in the stories wasn't a Christian. He didn't even start Christianity. He was a Jew preaching only to Jews, only about Judaism, only about the hope of establishing a kingdom on earth for the Jews. Right? It wasn't to the Gentiles. It wasn't about the Gentiles. This all-inclusive idea of salvation, and that came with Paul, right? That was not what the story was originally. So when people talk about like trying, if you really wanted to emulate Jesus as presented in the so-called gospels, you wouldn't be a Christian. You'd be a special version of a Jew. You would be that interpretation of Judaism, right? And so, like the character Jesus said, not one jot or tittle of the Mosaic law covenant would go away, right? It's permanent for as long as the heavens and the earth exist. He was very Jewish. He was very Torah, right? Like he this idea of getting rid of the old law and replacing it with the new covenant and stuff, that came later. That's not Jesus. That's Paul, right? So Christianity is kind of like a one stage at a time development, and
Mm,
it's kind of hard to like put a pin in it to say this is exactly when Christianity started. It definitely didn't start with the Jesus narrative. It
mm,
started later with Paul explaining what it meant to him, and then other people taking that up and reinterpreting it. So a big change happened in the 4th century with Constantine, and another change happened with Augustine. And so it was a developmental thing, right? And so, putting all this aside, somebody in the chat wanted to talk about whether or not Jesus really existed, and it's incredibly irrelevant. It doesn't matter. For the context of this video, the discussion we're having doesn't matter whether or not there was a Jesus, whether or not he said a certain thing. We're just talking about the religion as it's developed in Nigeria and this interesting plot twist with this guy who is trying to challenge that particular paradigm, right? Which looks almost nothing like what it looked like in the first century. It's a completely different thing.
Right. So Steve, the great manager, makes a very good point. He says if he had said that he represented Apple or Nike, they would sue him into oblivion. Right. I mean, look at what's his name? Kanye West, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh, there's no way. What is it? Adidas, yes. He was dead certain that Adidas could do him nothing. He was untouchable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they cleared his doubts. They pulled the rug from underneath him and showed him, look, we do not want you speaking on our behalf. Right. So now you make a point here, right? If he's talking about God, and this is where we've got to be careful when making judgment, because when you're pointing a finger, the others are pointing right back at you. So you've got to be careful when you're pointing fingers, And so, but then when you're talking about being a representative for God, I feel like the standard should be raised up a bit higher if you're speaking on behalf of a God. And men like these, we need to dissect every single thing they're saying if they're speaking for God. Okay, all right, let's continue with this.
Permanently from my page. Finish. I'm begging you. I'm telling you, people were stupid at Ashimolowo's video from beginning to end and jumped only with one part. Okay, you want me to say it because I've been gentle? Michael Osaji, pastor should go and walk. You cannot say that. Christ did not walk throughout his ministry. Peter was the first pope. There were times when even Paul himself was supported. There were times, even Paul himself. I don't want to go into it today, but if you want, I will go into and show you all. Someone is telling me I'm using style to beg. But don't let me brag for you. I know be your mate to gospel. That's why I walk, so I can brag to you, not because of anything. Who is saying I should remove him? Let me not waste his time or mine. You see, when you're not collecting money from people, it's very sweet, though. It's very sweet. I love it. Our friendship can end now. Now, when money day, now I go to consider, hey. I am to and watch that Matthew Ashimolo video from the beginning and see whether you share the same perspective. Someone said, I am of the opinion that another app expenses where anyone can send in something from there, the data for you, some stuff for the people working on the website and all. Somebody saying I'm worse than Adeboye. Why? Because I'm reading the scriptures to you. Am I manipulating the scriptures? Read these scriptures by yourselves. Read. You see, the fact that, and let me tell you something. I tell you, I want to come and teach you at 8 o'clock. But now when I get time, if it be 10:30, now I finally get time, now I go sit down, come teach. If you like day class, if you like no day class, now you know. But people that dedicate their lives to this teaching, they have to be there. If they tell you 8 o'clock, they are there 8 o'clock. Since you've known me, have I ever told you 4 o'clock and I'm there 4 o'clock? As the Spirit is leading me, I'm not under anybody's payroll, and I'm great. I'm not asking for myself. I'm just giving you an example. What's today's date? 25th of March. Abi? How much have you given Daddyfreeze personally for online church expenses 3 months of this year? Ask yourself. And you're here talking nonsense. How much? Somebody say Paul was a 10 men. Only Paul and Barnabas walked. Go and read the Bible. Do you want me to read it for you again? That's what they tell you when they what do they call them? My brain is very tired. Those people that are fighting the church. There's a name for them. Somebody say freeze. Stop blocking people. The free nation is not a democracy. It's the first lesson 101. It's not a democracy. Me and you cannot be talking. I'm the one preaching the sermon. You don't get paid. Go preach your own. I don't believe in or encourage democracy. I'm sorry. Don't worry. Today is block everybody's day.
Okay. He's clearly angry. And all of this started when his birthday came about and only 2 people gave him something. And of course, it's expensive to run data in Nigeria. They use data to, go on the internet. So it's expensive.
Sure.
I understand that. But this is a voluntary thing.
Right.
He had his day job at this time, and whatever he's doing, teaching the people, he had a free nation. I was in the chat. I was one of the people comment. I didn't comment too much, but I was listening, thinking, no, this can't be right. This cannot be right. I've supported you. I've contributed some money towards some of the charity things they were doing. One person has a need in the little community. Let's give money, right? I was thinking, this can't be. So I get the anger. I get of course he needs money. But if it's God's work, then unfortunately, go to God for your money, for your expenses. The fact that you can get angry over doing God's work is either it's not God's work, or I don't know.
Or God chose the wrong person.
or maybe that. Maybe that.
Either way, there's no way to reconcile
thank you.
Sorry.
Either way, there's no way to reconcile it. There's just not. But
It's just no way. No way.
Those are the people. That's the nonsense. The reformers. Let me tell you, a reformation army that is not based on the scriptures is the people they are fighting. If you have a revolution army,
I don't know why
that is not based on the scriptures. Let me tell you, the scriptures are like a sword, just as they are cutting you.
Scriptures are like a sword.
Please come and be going, Joe.
Now,
you people create the kind of pastors you have.
Did you hear that? When he said this, I was done. He said, can you imagine telling Christians that you create the pastors that you have? He went further on another video. He said, you deserve your scamming pastors.
Wow.
You deserve. He said, now I can see and I understand why they do what they do to you. It's not their fault. It's not the pastor's fault for flying 4 private jets. It is you. You're the problem. So he just said here that what did he say? He said, gosh, I can't remember what he said, but that's what he said. You're looking at Christians, some of them poor, really poor people, that think that help is coming from the skies. Like someone is coming to save us. One day he will come. The people who are speaking on his behalf, they berate you, talk down on you. I don't know. This is the state of Christianity. Come on. Hey, Trisha Star, hello. I see you, dog. Hey, dog. Hey. What the back? Sorry, guys. This is very.
I'm not going to talk until I'm able to block this. No. In John chapter 6, Christ actually had to ask his disciples, hey, are you with me, or do you want to join the people that left? So I'm going to ask you, are you with me, or do you want to go? If you want to go, go. If I have 2 people that I'm preaching to, like I can see my sister, what's her name? Lola Okola, and one more, all these 1,000 people that are watching me live now. I really don't need you all. I don't need you for anything.
My
I'm
gosh.
showing you the scriptures. You are worse than the scribes and the Pharisees. You are rejecting the scriptures because of your ideology. Let me read the scripture to you. All of us are going to be foolish today. Let me read the scripture to you.
James, you've got to say something.
So here's the thing. Part of what he seems to be saying is that it's all or nothing. That he's talking to these people and he's like, look, sure, we've got these religious leaders that are prominent in our country. And in order to become prominent and get their message out, they have to manipulate you and they have to lie to you and they have to exploit you and they have to ask for way more than they need. And that's wrong. But you guys deserve it, because if anybody tries to deal with you fairly and just is honest with you and respectful of you and lets you give from your heart and doesn't manipulate you and exploit you, then you guys just don't give anything at all, and then they can't get the word out. And he's like, it's a lose-lose proposition. Either somebody deals treacherously with you people to manipulate and exploit you and squeeze the money out of you, right? In which case, yeah, they get too much, but then at least they get to have a platform. Or somebody deals fairly with you, and then you don't get squeezed, in which case you don't contribute, in which case they can't stay on the air to continue to preach the message. This is his idea. And either he's right or he's wrong. If he's right, then he's exposing yet another fundamental problem with the missionary work and with this arrangement he thinks God puts in place. Because if it can only work through dishonesty and manipulation and greed, then that's God's problem. If that's the only way God's plan can work. But whereas if it can work by dealing fairly with people, then why isn't it? Right? You can't blame the people, right?
Yeah.
You have to blame the structure that doesn't work unless you exploit people. So he's accidentally admitting another crucial flaw in evangelical Christianity.
Exactly. I'll continue playing him. Yeah.
John chapter 13 and 29. Since Judas was their treasurer, some thought Yahushua was going to tell him to go and pay for the food or give some money to the poor. So they had money to give, they had money to pay, and they had treasurer. If I teach you anything other than that, is Antichrist.
Jesus had a treasurer.
If I teach you anything other than that, it's Antichrist. The fact that I don't collect it does not mean there's anything wrong with free will offering. There's nothing wrong with free will offering. You can say, you see, if you watch the video, the Matthew Ashimolo video from beginning to the end, you might come out and say, maybe this was a bit insensitive at a time like this. But the insult that they've insulted that man, I don't think he deserves it. In this particular instance, he talked about coronavirus.
So, guys, the man he's talking about is one of the patriarchs of Christianity in Nigeria. This man has enriched himself. He's one of the richest pastors. And so a lot of people were coming for him because at that time, I think he was telling people to give according to your age. So if you're 40 years old, you give $40,000, right? So if you're 30, you give $30,000.
Wow.
If you're 20, you give 20, according to your age. And so a lot of people came for this man. And he has said all sorts of things over the years too. And so the one person that everyone was looking at, Freeze, right, helping them to go after these men, now turns around and says, I don't think he didn't deserve the pushback. He didn't deserve it. And then later, after all of this ranting here, he started becoming friends with these men. Anyway.
Well, sure, because you're becoming more sympathetic to their point of view.
Yeah.
The only way to stay on top of the game is to exploit people. He's rationalized it. Like, no wonder they exploit people and are dishonest and treacherous and all this stuff, because it's the only way to build a career in this niche. It's the only way to turn this job into a way to live. And I don't know if that's right or wrong. Like, I haven't done the math on that, but if he's right, then the whole thing needs to be dismantled and done away with. If he's
This
wrong,
is
then he needs to shut the
that's
hell up.
right. That's right. 100%. I agree. All right.
Virus. He talked about stay at home. He talked about closing his church. When your Lagos, your people here have refused to close their churches, they held service despite government call out.
Hold on one second. So, I just want to address this real quick. It's very important that we try to keep the people in chat kind of like focused on what we're talking about.
Oh,
There's
okay. I'm not really.
somebody in chat has kept wanting to talk about whether or not Jesus existed in real life and whether or not there's good historical evidence of that, and some people are engaging with that, and I get it, I do. But I want to say again, one, it doesn't matter, right? Here's the thing. Santa Claus didn't exist, but Saint Nicholas of Bari did exist, and Santa Claus is based loosely on Saint Nicholas. Dracula the vampire didn't exist, but he's based loosely on Vlad the Impaler, who did exist. Wonder Woman didn't exist, but she's based loosely on the two women that the writer was in a polyamorous relationship with, right? So this is how it normally works. It's hard to find a fictional character that doesn't have their roots in real people, right?
Right.
So if somebody wants to argue that the legend of Jesus traces back to an actually real person, okay, but so does Wonder Woman. So does Dracula. So does Santa Claus, right? It doesn't help your case if what you're trying to do is validate Christianity. It just doesn't. And in the meantime, that's not the discussion that we're on here today, right? And this is what happens. And I see it happens on Derek's channel a lot too. Somebody will come into the channel that doesn't want us engaging with the topic material because they don't want us to learn. They don't want us to grow. They don't want us to outgrow their religious paradigm. And so what they'll do is they'll distract the chat on purpose. They'll engage with the chat on something irrelevant so that while people are focused on that discussion, they're not learning from what's happening on the channel, right? And that's a form of disruption that they're doing. And it's disrespectful to the hosts and the guests. It's disrespectful to the people in chat that are here to learn and to grow and to connect. And if somebody wants to make a side point, that's fine. It's okay, right? You are allowed and encouraged to have your own discussions to an extent. But if somebody comes in here and just keeps pulling the entire chat group off topic with something that's not relevant and is trivial, then I would just ask them to please stop that, right? Show some respect for us. Show some respect for the other people in this community. The topic is over here on the screen, right? It is not about whether or not Jesus traces back to a real literal person or not. Doesn't matter. It matters from some other topic, but it doesn't matter to this one. So that's just let's try to like all be on the same page here, guys. A little bit of side banter is fine, but let's try to follow along.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for saying that. I really wasn't too. I've been seeing there's a bit of thing going on in the chat, but I didn't know where it started or how, so I couldn't really address that. But this for me is very important because there are lots of people depending on this individual, right? And I feel like um, I've put this stream out on I've asked a couple of people to spread it out, right? There's people who would watch this afterwards, and I want them to at least catch the message. It's about the message, right? Okay, so now that Freeze has challenged these people, he has started you off on a good course. What next? Right? He's got you guys questioning. For years, you people have been told that you must not question your men of God. You must not question God's representatives. But now you are in a position where you can question these people. So what next? Right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
stop. Don't stop at not questioning. Now at just questioning those past. Question him himself. Question me. Question James. Question everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop at, okay, this is it now. Okay, this is where we're going. No, you need to carry on doing that work. You need to carry on, seeking what's the truth. Don't feed on a man's words sitting there just lambasting you and talking down on you. It doesn't stop there,
Mm-mm,
right?
it doesn't stop there.
Doesn't stop there. Okay,
Right, real quick, what the Beck that was what I said wasn't directed at you at all. It was
oh,
about somebody
100%.
else. Not at all. And my heart goes out to you. It really does. And
It's okay.
we're not trying to control chat, right? Side discussions are welcomed and encouraged, right? You don't always have to be talking about exactly what we're talking about, right? If
Mm-hmm.
something comes up, talk about it, right? But I'm talking about somebody else that came in here to purposely pull chat away from the discussion with talks about whether or not Jesus really existed.
Right,
And
right, right, right.
it ran too long. It just did. So,
On
but
on on the
yeah.
on the subject of whether Jesus existed or not, I really don't. That's not a subject I really get into, because whether he existed or didn't exist, either way, the Jesus narrative is troubling. It's problematic. If he didn't exist, how are people convinced that he exists? If he existed, that's confirmation that his daddy needed him to die, because two people ate a fruit, and now daddy's angry, and daddy has to send his son to come and die for our sin, well, whatever they call that, sin. Either way, whichever side you lean on, whether he exists, he didn't exist, the Jesus character needs to be done away with. That guy has created more problems than solved any. And I'm tired. I'm at the point now, I'm tired.
Hmm.
Existed, didn't exist, I don't care. The guy is a problem. He's anyway, never mind. I'm getting passionate. Jesus existed or didn't exist, that's one conversation. That either way, I find problems in the story.
Right.
So, all right. Sorry about that. I don't want to go off
No,
at all.
100%. Like, and this is the thing. And I've had this same discussion with Jay. The problem isn't theism, right? And in the loose sense of the idea, the problem isn't Jesus necessarily. The
Mhm.
problem is the narrative that we associate with Jesus and how we apply that into the way that we relate to the world, to other people, and to ourselves. That's the problem. So if somebody modernizes Jesus in such a way that he's basically a secular humanist, right? So that he's fully accepting of LGBT, and so that he doesn't promote exploitation or slavery or anything else. If they modernize him to where he's no longer this really problematic set of ideas, then okay, have your Jesus, right? But
Mhm.
the problem is this traditional idea of Jesus, right? The traditional Christian idea of Jesus, where he's got all these really problematic views and attitudes that are a problem for humanity, that cause division, that bring a sword, right, instead of make peace, right?
Can
As
you
even
imagine?
this text, right? That's the
Can you
problem.
imagine that? And James, remember I told you that you inspired me to do a video. Remember I told you. I
Yes.
came in your stream and you were talking about mental health and the church. And there was
Hmm.
something very important that you had mentioned.
Hmm.
Jesus saw the man who was in the caves. He was on his way, the man who was clearly having some mental health disorders, right?
Right. Hmm.
And Jesus decides to go cast out the demons in the man, the legion, right?
Right. Hmm.
And you know the story.
Hmm.
Now, today, if we found the man out on the streets, hasn't had a bath, is out there running wild, we would say he's got a mental health, some form of a mental health diagnosis. He needs assessment, he needs to be sectioned or something. He needs the care of he needs medical care, right?
Right. Right.
There was something you said. You said that Jesus single-handedly um set back the medical field, the
Hmm.
whole Jesus narrative. Because when
Yes.
Jesus, who is the savior of the world, couldn't identify, couldn't recognize that this person clearly has some issues going on, but he's there casting demons and killing the pigs instead, What do you expect from the people who are coming behind him, right? The people who follow
Hmm.
him, they wouldn't think that you have a mental health problem when you're out on behaving in such a way they can't understand. They take you to church because our
Hmm.
Jesus, he cured the man of his demons. So whether Jesus existed or not, it goes back to this: what has Jesus done for us? What has Jesus done for us? Jesus is setting us back as a people. He has set us back as a people. Mental health, do you know, in Nigeria, many people don't recognize that thing you call depression. What they'll tell you, what's that? Depression? When someone is going through depression, take them to church.
Hmm.
Jesus will heal them. You know what? This is not the conversation. This is not the conversation we're having now. But it's okay.
Right, right.
Okay. Right, let's carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm blocking more cretins.
Cretins now.
Straight up, right now, I'm on a blocking spree. Somebody is asking me, sir, are you working for money? No, I'm working for your mother.
Mm-mm. So
As in,
when this is a Nigerian way of insulting someone, when they ask you a question, instead of responding, right, they say, "Oh no, I'm working for your mother or your father." It's like someone giving, sending you a. You don't disrespect people's mothers and fathers.
Hmm.
This is culture. So when someone tells you anything, those are things that you don't touch. Mother, you don't touch it. Father, just don't.
Hmm.
That would easily get emotions going.
Right.
So he responded. The person was asking a question. He says, "Are you working for?" I don't know what the question was, but he says, "I'm working for your mother." Ish. Whoever
Right.
that person was, that person would have felt that hurt. That person would have felt like, "Oh my God, you just insulted my mother," and
So here's the interesting things. That this guy presumes to be an appointed representative of the creator of the universe.
that's right.
And at the same time, he's struggling to even behave like a decent human being.
Mm, mm, mm.
If he frames it as struggling to be patient with other people, but the problem is he's struggling to behave like a decent human being. And so it's interesting that here I am, and I have my flaws, right? But
Mm.
I'm an anti-theist. Like I don't believe in a God. I reject the core ideas of Christianity, and yet I don't struggle in that way to be a decent human being, right? And I don't have to pray to some super parent in the sky to help me be a decent human being. So why would God choose so poorly as to say, here's this guy who's kind of a crappy human being, like extra crappy. I'm going to have him be my representative to transform Nigeria, to to
Mm.
to to reform Christianity into what it was supposed to be. Like it wouldn't make any sense. It would have been like Paul, who was real name was Saul, who was a serial killer. He was going around persecuting, torturing, killing people in the early Jesus cult, right? And so the idea is the creator of the universe said, well, I need to pick somebody who's going to be the new head of my church. Oh, I know. How about this serial killing psychopath? I'm going to pick him because nothing says my religion is credible like picking the worst person I can find to run it. Like,
Don't forget Moses. Don't forget Moses.
right, Moses. Right.
Moses was a murderer who got away with killing that person. He killed someone and just walked away like
Yeah.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
And God somehow chose him, the murderer, to lead the people out of Egypt. God even gave him his moral the guide for life, the Ten Commandments. You give a murderer that. Listen,
Hmm.
For me, the day well, when I became an atheist, I started to look because some Christians want to try and tell you, oh, but there's some good things. There's some history in the Bible. There's some things that are quite nice and good for you. They're good for listen. Your Moses, who wrote the beginning, the beginning of the thing you call the Bible. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You listen to the words of a murderer. Not
Mm-hmm.
me, thank you. You can keep your Moses, keep your, but God chooses murderers. But that's just the way it is.
Right, and Moses, if you read the whole story, he was just not a good person. So, like when the guy was caught, one guy was caught picking up sticks on the Sabbath, right? And so these the people that caught him brought him before Moses, and so what do we do to this guy, right? And the answer wasn't, well, let's have a trial and or let's have a discussion about
Mm.
what happened. Maybe the guy had OCD and he was picking up sticks compulsively.
Exactly.
Or maybe these sticks were in the walking path and they were a trip hazard and he didn't want people tripping over them. Or maybe he was sleepwalking. Or maybe he forgot what day it was, right? Any number of possibilities. Or maybe the crowd was wrong and they misunderstood what they thought they saw him doing. Anything, right? And even if he was really picking up sticks on the Sabbath, let's counsel him back into the fold, right? And instead, the Moses characters casually, like it's nothing. Oh yeah,
Mm.
stone him to death. Just do it right here, right now. Stone him to death because
Oh.
we've got some other business to take care of. Hurry up and kill him, right? And so that man would have had, in the context of the story, he would have had a wife, and he would have had children. He would have had friends, right? And so all those people all of a sudden have to be part of this tribe that just murdered their loved one because of a rumor that some people saw him picking up some sticks on God's day off, right? So this was never a good person, and it's
No.
just if you think about how Adidas canceled Kanye because
Yes.
you don't want somebody who's openly awful representing your brand name, then it doesn't take a genius, it doesn't take a god to realize how bad of an idea it would be to appoint someone like Moses or Paul or Augustine or this guy here, this Dr. Freeze or whatever his name is. Um,
Daddyfreeze.
yeah, it doesn't take a genius to realize that that's bad marketing, it's bad PR.
It
You're
is.
ruining your own brand name. It just wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, so I'm going to pull you up on something you said at the start, James.
Hmm.
When we started this, you asked me how far back does this video go, right? And
Hmm.
you said that he might be in a different place right now, right? So when you said that, it made me think, okay, there's redemption, right?
Hmm.
Then on the other hand, they tell you when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Hmm.
So now I'm going to take you back to what you said. So if this video was 5 years ago, and this
Hmm.
is a Jesus representative, he's still a Jesus representative now, and his methods have since changed. Maybe he's a lot calmer, he's a lot nicer, he's more accepting, he's more, you know. So what was happening here then? Shouldn't he
What's
have known? This is recorded. Do you know? I recorded this at the time of this event happening, and I've had this in my possession because he has since cleaned it off because it never happened, right?
hmm
But you see, people watching, you impact on lives. You don't. So I don't know. What do you say to that? Is there redemption? Is there a point where you men of God men of these men that speak on behalf of God, they would err, they would do wrong, right? At
hmm
what point do we say, okay, let's wipe the slate clean and let's let them carry on? They live to another day to just carry on, right?
hmm
What do you? I don't know.
I mean, we can have that discussion if you want to.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, I don't know how deep you want to go down that rabbit hole, but let's
Not
suppose it for
not
a
not
moment.
not not that deep because I'm gonna have to bring you back because this will have to be a part two. Gosh,
Oh,
because it's very emotive. This is.
I mean, it's automatically, if we're really going to set the highest possible standard, it's automatically a bad thing to do or to be. It's not okay to be, and I'm sorry for any Christians who are in the room, it's just not okay for any human being to put themselves in the position where they feel qualified to speak for the creator of the universe. Even if we dignify the idea, okay, there's a God and there's only one, and there was a Jesus and there's a message and whatever else. Even if we dignify the basics, it just wouldn't make any sense for anybody to step up and say, I am qualified to represent the perfect message from the perfect creator of the universe, because you're not. Newsflash, you're not. No man has ever been qualified to speak a perfect message, because by the time it moves around in his brain, makes it to his tongue and his lips, and comes out, it's already been corrupted. And by the
Mm,
time it reaches your ears and works through your mind, it has now been further corrupted. So if it started off as a perfect message, I can promise you now what you're getting is not. Because that's just the way that it works by using humans, right? So nobody's ever been qualified. Anybody that thinks they're qualified to represent an actual message from a perfect being is narcissistic. You would
mm,
have
mm,
to be a
mm, mm,
narcissist to
mm,
think you're
mm,
qualified for that.
mm. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I honestly appreciate that. Thank you. Right. I know you said you could only do like an hour and a half. So
Oh,
we might
I've
have
got
to.
time. We'll
Okay.
just keep going.
All right. Cool. But have a look in the private chat. I'll let you a message there.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So let's continue with this man.
Onuni.
Mm.
Ama bí yín ní dídìrín ṣé ẹ̀ ní túnra yín bí ni? Ṣé dandan ní kẹ́ ponú kú ni?
Yikes.
Am I working for money? No. I'm working for palm trees. Kini burúkú aláìda. Come out from here, John. Make I not see you here again. This one is asking me, why do you need up? Did I tell you I need offering? If they did this to you, can you not undo it yourself? Instead of giving you brain, they put scrambled egg and onion inside your head, and they expect you to be using it to think. Are they not wicked to you? That's the language you people understand. You are the pharaoh.
The guy said that instead of a brain, they have onions and scrambled egg in there. They don't have a brain anymore. They now have onions and scrambled eggs instead of a brain. My goodness.
Most of this generation is not your pastor. You ain't like no. Somebody say, control your anger. Me, do I look angry? I'm amazed at the level of your stupidity. I'm amazed. I can't believe that it's legal for you to be this dumb and then walk the streets like it's actually legal, as in police have not arrested you. I'm not sure in other countries you can actually walk freely with an IQ this low. I used to think the Dead Sea was the lowest spot on earth until I started seeing the IQs of the comments in the comment section, the commenters in the commentators in the comment section. People will not scatter my head and turn me to one of you. Listen, there is church zombie and there is reformer zombie. On your goni. The word of Christ is like this. Ask me. Let me tell you, the viewership was 190. I don't block 50 people.
Wow.
As I talk, I block them. As they talk, I see them, they comment, I don't block and reach one for them, don't they climb again. More ding bats, only Facebook. I never even bother with Instagram. Make I go block some people for Instagram.
So we have people like
Instagram
this.
People, their head correct today. Now this.
We have people like this and that mix with our community, religious apologists that go into live streams to debate and things like that are incredibly toxic, incredibly narcissistic, incredibly insulting and posturing, and it's all about leveraging their ego and defending their ego and insulting other people and just being nasty and obnoxious. And this is just a personality type, right? And that's where all this is coming from. So the problem isn't theism. The problem isn't a general idea that there's a Jesus. The problem is his personality type mixed with the book, because his
Yes.
personality determines what he gets from the book. A book is like a mirror.
Mm,
What looks in has a lot to do with what looks out. And so he reads this book, and to him, wow, like he sees God, right? Because that's what God is to him. God is that kind of a person with that kind of an attitude. And so he doesn't recognize that there's a problem there. The problem is him. And so, people in the chat, it's up to them to recognize that this man is abusive, that he's narcissistic, that even if he's capable of being better, he's not currently on that track. He's not on that path, right? He's not trying to be better. He's indulging the worst aspects of himself and at our expense. And at some point, I would just recommend to people in that situation, remove yourself from it, right? Because he's not
exactly.
going to start behaving better. But don't wait for him to ban you. Just say, you know what? I've seen this before,
Yeah.
and my time's worth more than this, and then just move on.
At this point, I just wasn't commenting. I just was just listening, right? Because I didn't want anyone to. Oh, and by the way, my ring light for some reason has just gone kaput. So sorry, I'm all dark because the ring light is gone. I don't know what's happened to it. Okay, let's continue.
These Facebook people not just one get sense. Baba, I'm a human being. I'm talking and reading, and then the comments are talking like when they want to do shawarma and they cut the chicken and that's how they do some people's brain from birth, from where they came from in hellfire.
Wow.
They don't roast the shawarma with inside their head. So the thing they sizzle as they sit down, they look their brain they sizzle like shawarma we don't overdone.
Wow.
As the thing they sizzle, they give you comments. You go the one that say, inside waiting with the talk. This comment, how you take rich share? Somebody is asking me. I'm
oh my god. Here's the thing. I got mixed feelings about this because on one hand,
do?
if I was a Christian, I'd be really, really upset with this guy, right? Because he is just making God look worse, Jesus look worse, me look worse. I'd be like, somebody cancel this guy quickly, right? For the sake of Jesus. But as an atheist anti-religionist, I'm like, please keep going. Please, yes.
At this time, when this man was doing this, I was a Christian.
Yeah.
I was a questioning Christian, deconstructing Christian. And let me tell you, this guy helped. Watching him do this, I was a deconstructing Christian at this time. Mm-hmm. Watching this man, who was supposed to be the answer, who was bringing fresh eyes on Christianity, do this, it made me, I had to start asking questions. I'd go back to Reverend Father, take some of his, write some things down that he had said. And Reverend Father would say, no, that cannot be right. This guy helped me on my journey out of Christianity.
Right.
So yes, I agree with you. Christians really need to, say, look, dude, you're damaging stuff for us.
Yep, exactly. So there's an upside to it. So whenever people behave really badly in the name of Jesus, like these fundamentalist apologists that we engage with in our community, I get why people are angry. I do. Mm-hmm. I get why people feel like we need to push back against this because we do. But at the same time, there's this upside, this ironic upside of they're exposing their grift. They're exposing the toxicity and the narcissism. They're helping us deconvert people. And so ultimately it's a force of help, right? So I'm like, yep, that's good. So this is why I have mixed emotions. It's awful and it's disgusting and it's angering, but at the same time, it's helping people deconvert, ironically, and I think that that's a good thing. So there we are.
I agree with that, but whether these people are Christians or not, no one deserves this treatment.
No.
I don't care who the person is speaking.
Right.
The people on the other end, whether Christian, whether atheist, whether Muslim, whether no human deserves to be talked to in this manner.
Agreed.
More plenty for Facebook. Unamumu. Somebody says stop blocking, and then they cannot hear the truth again. As in, you don't know this work I've been doing. I've been doing it for 4 years. Some people are lost. They are lost. They can never be found again. They've signed up their lives to the propagation of foolishness and stupidity. They have committed themselves to stupidity. How do you save them? I'm starting a discussion. Like say, another set of foolish people on this YouTube. Enough dingbats they there. Okay, I go there, go check them. No. YouTube people are better people they did. Someone says Tolu, the boss, but Daddyfreeze, this is very different from your initial stance on pastors working. When I first started, was I not calling Jesus? Right now, when was the last time you heard the Free Nation use the word Jesus? We use his original real name, Yahushua.
Oh, okay. That's one of the things. When he started using the name of Jesus. But as he progressed, he started saying, oh, Jesus is not Jesus, he's Yeshua. Started trying to change and correct a lot of things in Christianity. Because now he has the right version. So people are pointing out, but this isn't how you started, right? So unfortunately, he became the very thing that he was antagonizing, the very people that he was coming for. He's just one of them, but just he doesn't have the big church, doesn't have the big pulpit, doesn't have the private jet, So this is where he's at, but he likes Ferraris. He shows off his Rolexes. He's a very questionable character.
Sure.
There was one scammer, right? This was you guys, those Nigerian princes, the Nigerian prince that sends out those letters, right? There was one of them, but he was based in Dubai. But it was a well-known fact that he was a Nigerian prince, and that's how he got his money. And he was, he would show off. He was a big show off. It was really bad. And this guy got involved with that guy. And people started saying, but hang on, you're preaching, you're supposed to be, quote unquote, the Jesus representative. Well, he said, well, he can be friends with whoever he wants to be friends with. He even was invited over to Dubai to go and, he was this Daddyfreeze was videoing everything, showing off, what people were saying, but you don't know the source of this man's wealth. And here you are showing off, you went showing off the guy's house, his pool, his cars, so proud. And guess what? Daddyfreeze goes back to Nigeria. Not long after, that guy was arrested by the police. It turns out the police had been the police in Dubai had been spying on this guy for a while. And when they caught this guy, look, they extradited him from Dubai to the US. The guy had never stepped foot in the US. But the people he scammed at the start of the pandemic, I think, he scammed the people. It was a huge scam. Let's see. They moved him from Dubai to America to go and serve. So right now he's in an American jail. But this man of God, quote unquote man of God, knew that anyway, that's this conversation for another day, but just had to point that out.
Sure. I do want to clarify. Go ahead.
If anyone wants to know the name of this particular scam person, Hush Puppy, that was what he was called on his social media handles. Hush Puppy. I don't know these people's their first names and last names. He was Hush Puppy. Some of you might know Hush Puppy. Yes, I'm talking about Hush Puppy, Steve McRae manager. Yes, I have all those videos. Jesus Christ. Yes, he was real close friends with Hush Puppy. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Oh, yeah, just real quick. I want to clarify. I don't think it's a good thing that this guy's abusive, right? I just think that the upside is it is exposing his own grift. And I would rather he's not abusive, right? Like if I had a way to, I would heal the guy. Like I'd find out like what's underneath all of that. Is there some way to rehabilitate him into being a decent human being? Because I would help him.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know of a way to, and it's also not my responsibility. And so I just want to clarify, I don't think that it's good that he's being abusive, even though it helps deconvert people. I just think
Yeah.
that that's the ironic upside to him being abusive, is exposing himself. So, and as far as atheism, yeah, but here's the thing. Like, and I don't want to be overly controversial in our own community, but atheism isn't atheism as a label is only meaningful in the context of letting people know that you don't believe in a god, because we need to normalize that, right? We need to normalize in societies where it's not normalized the idea of being a human being that's respected and that who doesn't believe in a god. That's it. Outside that context, there's just no necessity for the term. That context provides necessity. So when somebody talks about atheism outside that context, I'm like, look, it's not really a values statement, right? Like theism in and of itself isn't automatically bad, right? It doesn't. It's not necessarily a moral or immoral proposition, but neither is atheism, right? So some of the sweetest people I've known in my life happen to believe in a god. Some of
Mm.
the nastiest people I've met also happen to believe in a God. And the same thing is true of atheists or of non-believers.
Yeah.
Some of the sweetest and some of the most awful people I've known were also non-believers. It's
Yes.
just not a morally meaningful distinction. It's just a necessary label within the context of normalizing the idea of not believing in a God and still being respected in your society. So and I'm with Derek on this. I'm not ever trying to get somebody, and it's okay if you want people to become atheist, if you feel like that's what where their best opportunities are for their human experience. I'm not challenging that idea. I'm simply saying that when I make arguments that are about religious bad behaviors and religious bad ideas and things like that, my purpose is not to deconvert somebody into atheism, because
Oh no.
I don't have an opinion or about whether or not they're better off believing or not believing in a god. I have no opinion about that. It's not an agenda. Like I just want people to have an increasingly better understanding of what it means to have a healthy relationship with other people and with themselves, right? And if somebody's able to make that progress while believing in some kind of a god, I'm fine with that. Like that satisfies all my concerns, right? And I just want to make that clear to everybody. I'm not being anti-God here.
No.
I'm just saying let's understand the human experience. Let's learn from it and grow from it together.
And for me, my journey out of Christianity took years. You can't, I can't deconvert anyone. I'm not here uh, to deconvert anybody. My own journey took a good while, and that's something I cannot do for anybody. You do
Mm,
it yourself. But
yeah.
if I can start off the process for you, if I can be instrumental along that journey, then
Hmm.
that's what I'm here for, right?
Right.
But it's your journey, and it's your it's on you, because when you come away from, like myself, when I came away, I had nobody to look up and say, "Oh, it was your fault." You No, no, no. It was all on me. I had only me to. So if I got it wrong, it's on me. If I said, I do say to people, it felt like a loss of identity.
Hmm.
I was in a place where I didn't recognize who I was, because everything I was all, that God character was intertwined in every aspect of my life. And so
Hmm.
when I got rid of that God character, I I didn't know whether I was going or I was coming. And
Hmm.
so that's why for me, the atheist community online, I thank you all, because you helped me make sense of things, because I was lost completely. I Can you imagine being 40 years old and now you find yourself an atheist. Where do you begin? Everybody around you is atheist. I live in the UK, and the humanist group, most of them have never been religious. Most of them have never known what it is to come from a fundamental um, um, sect of Christianity. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know any of that. So they can't relate with me. And so that's why, for me, and that's why I had to be a representative. I had to be here, take up this space, at least put a spotlight on what's going on here,
Mm-hmm.
because we're all on, the journey is it's a very individualistic journey, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that, James?
Yeah, 100% right. And I've said this many times on my channel before. Your journey belongs to you. The rewards and the consequences of your attitude and your behaviors in the world are yours. You might as well own it because it is yours, right? And this is one of the problems I have with common religion is that it tries to say it's not yours. That your
Mm,
life and your identity and your journey, your thoughts, your feelings, where you're going, where you're at, don't belong to you, right? And my response is, yeah, it does belong to you and it needs to, because uh, that's what makes us accountable. That's what makes us responsible adults, right? To accept responsibility for our journey. Now, if we suppose for a moment that our life is a gift from a God, well, if you get a gift from anybody and you want to show respect for the person you got the gift from, the right way to honor that gift is not to give it back, it's to accept full ownership and responsibility for that gift and say, I'm going to use this responsibly and I'm going to own the consequences and the rewards for how I use this gift. Right. And this is a key thing that popular religions get wrong. Right. And so the problem again isn't theism as an idea. It's what Christian fundamentalists do with theism. It's the narrative they put around it, right? That they put around you, that they try to trap you inside of and define you with. So, in the meantime, as some of us, more and more of us, begin to outgrow that paradigm and to wake up to adulthood, just to simplify it, right? It's a traumatic experience. It is a painful process.
it is very
Nobody
painful.
wakes up one day and says, I think I'd like to have to start from scratch trying to figure out who I am in the world and how I'm going to relate to myself and to other people, because you're going to alienate yourself from your community and from friends and from family, and you're going to have this transitional period where you're not even clear about who you are, what you're about, what your values are going forward, what your narrative is going to be that defines you in the world, right? This the sense of identity. We all have a need for a sense of identity. It is traumatic, and it is imbalancing, and it's transitional, and nobody volunteers for that. So when somebody deconverts, it's on accident. Nobody wakes up one day as a believer in a God and says, you know what? I think I'm going to start rebelling against the God I believe in. Nobody does that. It's not a thing, right? You believe in a God, you believe in a narrative, and step by step, things happen along the way that make you question some of what you assumed and some of what you were taught. They make you question it. And as you begin to question it, you begin to realize that the answers that these religions give you are not only insufficient, but they are demonstrably wrong and
Hmm.
unhealthy. And so it's a process.
Okay. Wow. James, you see why I say you were perfect for this?
Sorry, I rant and I try so hard not to. There we
Okay.
are.
All right. So what we'll do, we'll stop nicely at just the halfway mark of this video, and we will come back to, we'll do a part two. So we're not keeping people for too long, because
Sure.
this is too much. It's too much,
Yeah.
too much for people to take.
Hmm.
There's so many things we started with. I was passionate back then. Let me apologize to you. I'm sorry. I thought I could be like Paul, not realizing that Paul is not superior to Christ. Christ's ministry, Luke chapter 8, verse 1 to 3. We have not even read that one. We will still read it. Christ's ministry was supported. Christ had treasurer. Someone said, Daddyfreeze, oh, Lanier, you cannot beat them. You have now joined them. I have joined them and I don't have Rolls Royce. I know
Who fried your
see
brain?
Imbecile people, they say I've left Cool FM. Do you know what? The only reason why we're not going to Cool FM this Sunday is because of coronavirus. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. You see, I love my genuine Free Nation audience. But once in a while, some people just come on. Some people who have refused to think. Una was past coronavirus. As they find cure for coronavirus, they pray to God when they find cure for una too.
Jesus Christ. He says that they are worse than the virus. That's at this time they're still trying to get the vaccine, and he said that hopefully when they get the cure for the vaccine, they get the cure for these people who dare to question him, who dare to, And guys, don't forget, there's some people who have said to me, please don't speak bad about this guy, okay? Because a lot of people idolize him. Please tread carefully. I've been warned, right? And also put a disclaimer, he might strike your channel because you're using his content, blah, blah, blah. But guys, I don't need to put any words in his mouth. I don't need to make anything up. You're hearing directly from the horse's mouth. And my stream has a title. And I think I would ask you all before we finish, do you think that this guy is good for the Nigerian Christians? Do you think that this is what they need to? I don't know. For me, anyone, as long as you're preaching that name Jesus, as long as you're still preaching your version of Christianity, for me, it's already a fail from the start. It's already it's failed from the get-go, because now you're just presenting your own version of what the people are trying to run away from. Okay, sorry, rant, sorry.
Yeah.
I was watching the Matthew Ashimolo. Go and watch that video from beginning to the end. Nothing, as in, I understand that pastors have abused. No. Let's that's why I refuse to collect offering. Because pastors have abused. If we start collecting offering now, I just have it at the back of my mind that it will be abused. Does not mean that offering is bad. What we do not believe in is tithing. What we do not believe in is sowing a seed towards a blessing. Christ did not ask anybody to bring money for blessing. Do you understand? When he said, freely you shall give, heal them, all these things, freely you shall give, freely you shall receive. It does not mean that the disciple did not have to eat, or the apostle did not have to eat. Apostle had to eat. And apostle ate the food from the houses of the believers. Go and read the scriptures. Mary and Martha always made sure Christ had food. That's why Martha was cooking the big dinner, and Mary was sitting at his feet, and Martha was angry. Let's balance things up. Let me tell you something. Bow leg is not good. K leg is not good. The balance is straight leg. The balance of bow leg is not K leg. The balance of K leg is not bow leg. The balance of bow leg and K leg is Christ.
Did you understand any of that, James?
No, I wasn't. I don't know what the terms are he's using.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I think my device, since my device is plugged. Oh shoot. Okay, I might go off. Just give me 1 second. I'll play him. I'm gonna come off the stream. I need to my something happened. I don't know. Something happened, messed me up. Okay, I'll continue playing this. Just give me a minute. Yeah.
Sure.
Christ shouldn't have demanded or solicited for an offering at a time like this. I understand. Totally. I understand. That makes a ton of sense. Even I would have found it a bit distasteful. But let's be honest. Do you know that inside this coronavirus, I was still raising money for that woman with issue with the what's that thing called? Fibroid. If you had caught my video and I was just announcing our account details, Zenith Bank, Free Disciple Ministry, pay into this account. If you had caught that and posted it, you just hear fire everywhere. Inside Corona, Daddyfreeze has joined them, is asking for. Someone said Christ did not attack people for not giving offering or tithes 100%. I agree. That is why I said abuse. What I am after is turning that bow leg to straight leg and K leg to straight leg, not converting bow leg to K leg. That's from one extreme to another. And we've got to be very careful. Now, also at a time like this, I would advise pastors to find a way to give back. We guys also have to be very careful. Let me tell you something here. Let's not go from correcting a norm to becoming online bullies. I'm begging you guys. Let's not go from correcting a norm. Jigs, overcompensating. You be pilot. You get how you dey fly from here go Cotonou. You go overcompensate, find yourself for for South Africa. I dey tell you, we are overcompensating. There's what you call a cane and a carrot approach. We cannot cane, and we cannot carrot. Let's find the balance. Let's find the balance. You see, right now, my message to the mega churches is the people are angry. I spoke to a lady today who's she didn't understand because she was on their side. And I was trying to tell her that, look, the people are angry. You've got to understand that. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of the nonsense people read online is false. I'm a living witness to online carrying nonsense. Trust me. 80% of what you read about me, including the fact that I was sacked, the announcement is dropping tomorrow. Should people will be saying and you hear it? Me that I'm here folding my arms. Those that need to know. If you sit down, you to be before your eyes. If you not, you will not die. Pray that people live beyond tomorrow so you can see and hear. As I am now, go and read the blog. Somebody sent screenshotted comments from Linda Gage's blog that I was sacked from Cool FM. I can show you Cool FM WhatsApp group. I'm still there. Do you want me to show you? I'm still there. I cannot be on Cool FM WhatsApp group and they've sacked me. So just calm down. Calm down. We need these pastors to change. We need the messages to change. But hey, bundle that person. Hey, bundle. It will look like.
Okay, I think we'll call it a day on this one today, because now there's just 2 other shorter videos and where he goes off same sort of thing but on just a different context.
Sure.
I don't know if I have the one where it was his birthday and he started going off on the people because nobody bought him a birthday present.
Mm.
Somebody gave him 20,000 Nigerian naira. He said only 2 people gave him something. And so it was at that point, guys, I would be honest, from the time when he said only 2 people gave him something for his birthday, that was when he started to change his message. His message completely changed. He started to, instead of going after these pastors, he decided, I don't know what happened. There are rumors, plenty of them. Some people reckon that some of these pastors, there's the cabal, they call them the cabal. The cabal must have found some form of information, something that could wreck things. And so he is gagged. You know, I don't know. Whatever the case, your birthday, when the one who Jesus is sending to his people in Nigeria can get angry over people not giving him a birthday present, then something's wrong.
I can't even imagine going on my Facebook page to tell everybody only 2 of you gave me a birthday present, so the rest of you deserve the abusive friends that you have. Like, because you don't
No.
deserve me.
Listen, it's my birthday in a few days, right? It's my
Mhm.
birthday on Valentine's Day. So, any of you don't give me any birthday present, the day after, I'm going to be here just berating all of you.
Mm.
The day
Right.
after Valentine's Day, I'm going to be here just, come on now. Come on. Come on. Come
Right.
on.
But it's so interesting how non-self-aware he is, because he's talking about, because he's being very imbalanced and he's being very against the people that follow him. He's being exactly the bad way, but then he turns around and says, and it calls for an appeal to balance, and it calls for an appeal to being our better selves. And like, dude, you just got done being the opposite. You just got
Mm,
done being imbalanced and mean spirited and divisive and not a champion of the people, but an attacker of the people.
mhm,
And now he switches back to reminding everybody that he's on their side. He's on your side. He's a champion for you, right? And he's all about balance and good behavior. And I'm like, yeah, come on. So,
mm, mm,
uh,
mm, mm. And this is the thing, guys. When we started this stream, some of you were asking me, who is he? Who is he? Who is he? Now, you may not know who he is, but this is quite prevalent in the religion of Christianity. It may not be Daddyfreeze, but this character you find it everywhere. The American church. I mean, when it was Donald Trump's time, I saw Christianity for what it was. For me, that was an exposure into what Christianity looks like over in the US. It was, you know, the day that the people went on the Capitol. What do you call that? On the was it 4th of January? 4th or
January 6th,
6th?
riot at the Capitol. Yeah.
Yes, that we were watching it here thinking, this can't be America. This can't be.
Mm,
We're
yeah.
watching Christians fight.
Hmm.
This is our right to destroy. And I'm thinking, look, I got in some very heated debates with people, Christians over in Nigeria who thought that what's his name? Um Trump was the Messiah.
Hmm.
Because guys, you guys in America, you guys are the standard for a lot of all these other countries. They look to you as the they want to be like you, want to sing like you, want to play ball like you. So anything the Americans are doing, trust me, there are people that are watching your every move and copying.
Hmm.
So if your pastors and your presidents and all these people are misbehaving, trust me, there's some people looking and thinking, if Trump can do it, I can do it too.
Hmm. Right.
So what I'm trying to say here is, look, the world has become very small. The internet has done something. It has it has made the world even smaller. It has made information easily accessible. Now I can see what's happening over in uh, any part of the world. I just need to go log in, right? So we are now at the stage where Christianity has to be put on the spotlight. There are many millions of people that believe in this religion. Today is Sunday. They've been to church today, right? They've gone
Hmm.
praising the Lord. Hallelujah. Giving to this the thing they call God. But what exactly is this religion all about? What exactly is being preached in this religion? You go and give to a God who sacrificed his own child to himself, impregnated a young virgin because two people ate a fruit, killed everyone, all the babies, everyone. Why? Because he regretted making humans. I mean, it's time to start asking these questions.
Hmm.
Right, James? Did you want to say anything?
No, I mean, I'm with you 100%. I apologize to the people in the chat and to Esther for going on rants and
No,
tangents that
no,
ate up
no.
a
Please
bunch of
don't
her time
apologize.
tonight.
Please don't apologize.
I've always got a lot to say about all these different things, and so my brain like says, "Here's 12 different things I want you to say," and I'm like, "No, pick one." Like I'm not saying all 12 things. My brain's like, "Fine, pick this one." Right. So in this moment, the one that I'm picking is I would love to do a stream about Christianity, its core ideas, what it
Mm.
really is and what it really isn't. If you ever want to do a stream like that and invite me
Oh,
on, I'd
yeah.
love to participate in that. Um, But in the meantime, yeah, I mean, there's core ideas. Now, it's a spectrum, right? There's a bunch of people in this world, not maybe in Nigeria, but in the world at large, that behave and reason a whole lot better under the Christian label than what you normally see in maybe Nigeria, for example.
Yes, yes, absolutely,
So,
absolutely. And I will be very honest in telling you this, that moving to the United Kingdom and going to a different version of church, going to the English version of church, the Church of England, it opened my eyes. I could not believe how the Nigerians do their Christianity, and you know, the the differences. That's one of the reasons why I started questioning how can these people call themselves Christians, and these call themselves Christians, but yet there is not any common ground between them. And the Church of England right now is facing some challenges over the LGBTQ conversation. The Church of England has decided that they're not going to support the LGBTQ community because they are under pressure from their African counterparts. The African Anglican Church have said if the Church of England ever signs on to the LGBTQ agenda, they're going to pull out, and the majority of their people come from over there, because the Africans, they're very religious. They take it very seriously. If
mhm.
the African Anglican Church pulls away from the wider Anglican Church, then they're going to have hardly anyone left. So the Anglican Church as a whole are having to dance to the tune of this African this section of the church thing. So it's an ongoing conversation.
Mm,
Ongoing.
right. I have lots to say about that, but we'll save it for a different time.
That's right. No, but guys, can we put the moderators? Can we put the link to James's channel? I particularly like how James approaches these conversations. He's not on the that people that other people. I like their style. Don't get me wrong. There's some people that I think will be good for the Nigerian Christian. Someone like Uncle Bobby. I don't know if you guys know
Hmm.
Uncle Bobby. Listen. He's
Gin
what
and truth.
Nigeria needs. Yes,
Hmm.
he, he's what they need for the
If
most part. Not all
if
of them,
someone
but
could drop Gin and Truth's links, that would be awesome.
yes,
That's really.
please. That would be great. I've been binging on his videos because my goodness, I'm like, yes, this is what people need to hear. So please, can we put the link to James's channel? Please go over there, give him just subscribe. Um, let's get the numbers up because my goodness, this thing that we call the atheist community. When I started off in this community, there were channels that I would be watching right on a constant. Just I was binging on those channels, but now I've grown away from those. I start to notice there's some toxic atheists, right? There's some people who not so much. But now I want to have wholesome conversations, right? Sometimes my
Mhm.
methods here might be a bit problematic. I know Carol the atheist. I remember when I was doing the G-Man stream, she was like, "Nope, I'm out, off, go." But G-Man's very much like the average Nigerian Christian, and that's why from time to time I cover him. I've left him alone for a bit because I've got bigger fish to fry. So I've just
Right.
left him in his little uh, world over there because there's other conversations to be had. So yeah,
Right. So before I dropped my link, but I don't have like a wrench, so it's not like
let's
clickable.
see.
But that's it, anyways. Here's the
Are
thing,
you
and
in the chat? Are you in the chat there?
I dropped
Oh,
it in
it's
chat, but
here.
I don't have a wrench, so it's like not clickable. But somebody can like highlight it, right click it, and then
I'm going
go
to do that
to
now. I'm going to do
and
that
then
now.
no work.
Let's do that now.
Awesome. Yep, that's it. Robert X dropped it. So here's
Yeah.
the thing everybody needs to know about my channel. Um, I'm not getting completely out of counter apologetics, talking about religion and doctrine and things like that. Instead, I'm taking my channel in a different direction where I talk about human relationships and healing and having different difficult conversations and, clarifying our journey and moving forward and finding healthier ways to connect with other people and with ourselves and making sense of the world that we're in. But I'm going to be a lot less focused on labels like Christian versus atheist or God and things like that. It may come up incidentally, but I'm trying to make it less divisive on my channel. But don't get me wrong, if somebody else in the community, like Esther, wants to bring me on at any time to talk about these kinds of issues, I'm there for it. I just want to
Hmm.
I've decided to go kind of in a different direction with my own channel. So I've got 7 days left. I've set a timer. In the next 7 days, I can bash religion as much as I want to. But after that, I'm right. And I'm going to be. But after that, I'm gonna kind of shift the way that I approach these issues after that. But that's not a judgment. We need Uncle Bobby, Gin and Truth.
Yes.
We need
Yes.
we need Esther. We need Pelagia and Derek from Myth Vision. We need these people, right? So and Jay Bundy, right? Pocket Locker 86. We need these people.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just that
that's one
for
channel I need to subscribe to because Gin and Truth he keeps going on about Pocket like a Pocket. I'm like, okay, need to sign up.
right. So Jay Bundy, at Pocket Locker 86, he's got a dual PhD as an evolutionary biologist. And he also has a counter apologetic stream that he does. He's got something he calls the blackout, where he talks about the challenges to the black community, and he does that regularly as well. And he's got a couple of other streams that he does. So whatever your flavor is, whatever your interests are, he's got you pretty well covered. And so hop over there, definitely show him some love. So again, I'm shifting the way my channel works starting next week, but I still am available at any time to come God bash on somebody else's channel. So that's where I'm at.
Also, after the next 7 days, you're not packing it in, are you?
Well, so my channel will still exist, and I'll be editing and re-uploading
Right.
some of the best moments from this past year, like
Okay.
clips. Because right now my channel, a lot of my old streams are like 7 hours long. Nobody's gonna go back and sift through 7 hours of stuff.
What?
So yeah,
7 hour
right,
stream.
right. So I'm gonna go back, find the best moments, re-upload them with whatever titles are relevant, and then from now on, when I do my stream, I'm going to talk about issues where I try to be more diplomatic in the way that I use language and be more focused on building and healing and moving forward instead of pointing and blaming and anger. Like I'm trying to get past that part of it. Our community still needs that. We still need Uncle Bobby. We still need Jay. We still need Esther. We still need Eric, Apologia, etc. Right? I'm not denouncing that. I'm just saying that I want to have a different flavor moving forward on my channel. But I'm also
Absolutely.
going to start a new channel soon where I just read 20 minutes a night, and I don't know what I'm going to call it, like the warm down or something, where I help people unwind and put the day into perspective and bring some sense of peace before people retire for the evening. And it's not going to be quite ASMR, but it's going to be like almost ASMR. So that's going to be my
Oh,
second
you
channel.
you've got the voice for it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, people keep
Definitely
telling me.
have the voice for it. Yes, that
Right.
that would be lovely to hear. And actually, there's one channel that I've recommended this channel. That voices ASMR. Any of you who suffers with insomnia, please can we just put the link? That voices ASMR. He does come round and chat from time to time. Gosh, the voice, it just helps you to unwind, helps you to just, oh, it's lovely, it's absolutely lovely. So please, if that's something that interests you, that's something that sometimes you find yourself struggling to sleep and you just need some background noise to get you off. So that voices ASMR. He is
Which
the dark voices ASMR. Let me see if I can find it. find the link for it. Doesn't he hasn't done a lot of content recently, so oh god, this is good. Okay, just 1 second. I need to play just a little bit of it because every time I click, I'm like, yes, this is. I'm not ready to go to sleep just yet, though.
Right.
Let me share this. Um, how do I do this? Wait, so add to stream, and let me see. Do I share this one instead? Okay, share this one instead. Okay, so yes.
And one more time,
Oh,
deep breath in and slowly just let it all go. Continue to breathe a little deep, but a little bit more natural for you. With each breath you take, you're going to feel relaxation coming into you. Your thoughts may be wandering. You might have some intrusive thoughts, and that's totally fine. That's okay. Just don't focus on them. This is your time. Just let them come in and go back out. If you find yourself focusing on the thoughts, just take another deep breath in and let it out. You maybe have to do this a few times, and that is totally fine.
Awesome.
I was actually. I thought I was talking to you all. My son just came to tell me that the car door is unlocked. It's wide open. Oh, never mind. Thankfully, he's noticed it. So sorry. Yes, guys, I've put the link to That Voices ASMR in chat. Please make sure to go subscribe. And yeah, if that's the thing that interests you. He's also someone in the community as well. So yes. Everyone, let's see. Well, Esther has proven again that she needs no sleep. But I'm an hour ahead and I do so good night. Listen, I got to go to sleep. Tomorrow is Monday. No, I didn't fall asleep. My son came and knocked to tell me about the car door open. So I quickly turned the camera off to speak to him. So no. And then I forgot that I'd turned it off. So I was saying something. And never mind. Anyway, guys, please do not forget to give the stream a thumbs up and thank you all very much. We will do a part 2 to this. And James, this has been fun. Thank you. I appreciate you coming over here. Thank you.
It was an honor, and thank you so much to everybody.
What do you have coming up next, James? Or do you just come? I think you don't really set anything. Just whatever topics you want to talk about, you just come on and speak about them. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever is going on in the community usually, right?
Right.
So whatever people are talking about is the thing that they're troubled with or struggling with or
Hmm.
engaging with, then that's usually what I'll stream about. So I just listen and wait, and then I'll that decides. So I don't really have a schedule, but I appreciate, anybody wants to
Oh,
jump over and subscribe.
quick question before you go. Yes or no? I've had somebody come in the chat and he keeps wanting to try and have a conversation and so yes, and people they say no, 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 no. Brett King. So I know you've talked about him on your channel. Yes, no,
Yeah.
what do you think?
What a yes, no for what? Like, what about him?
People weren't keen to have a conversation. Like, whatever you do, stay away. Do
So
not do it. I don't know this person. I don't really know anything about him. So what? I
so
mean,
he
I'm
is
just
he's
your
a
opinion,
he is a Christian religious fundamentalist. He disagrees with mainstream fundamentalists on some things, but he's still a fundamentalist, right?
right?
And so, um, if he has a pleasant conversation with you as an atheist, he's looking for opportunities to use that against the atheist community,
Ah,
right? If you say something, if you get along with him, then he's not going to count it. Like later on, when he talks about atheists, he's going to talk about how awful they all are. Like it's not going to like win him over. It's not going to impress him. Um, if you claim that you're happy with your life, he will later on talk about it separately and call you a liar. Look how atheists can't even be honest and admit their
consistent.
lives are
Right,
awful. And if
right,
and
right,
if you
right,
admit that you struggle with something like mental illness or struggles in life, then he will misquote you later and say, "Look how awful it is to be an atheist," because they admit that they're all struggling with all these severe issues because they're atheists, right? Like so,
right,
he's looking for opportunities to quote mine you out of context in order to prove atheism is bad and theism, especially Christianity, is good. So he's got an agenda, and eh, so proceed at your own risk because he is playing a game with you if you engage
right.
with him. So that's the short version of Brett Keane.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that because nobody's really taking the time to. They just say, "Oh no, stay away, stay away, stay away." I didn't really know. Well, I don't know the Brett King. I've heard of him in little bits here and there, but don't know too much about him. So yeah, but thank you. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, and everyone, thank you very much. Appreciate all of you. Thank you. Let's keep this conversation going. These are the conversations we need to have, and yeah, it doesn't stop. We keep keep going until there's really no agenda, just conversations, right?
Right,
Just
just conversations.
let's talk.
Right.
All right, guys. Good
Thank you,
night, and
everybody.
have a lovely week. It's Monday tomorrow, and I don't like Mondays. I don't, but it's one of them. Mm. All right, guys. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you again.
Right.
Do you have a moment? And this very second, I know you feel the beat. Do you feel the rhythm all the way? Can you see the vision? Everything in this world will be okay. Can we be together all the way? I know you feel this movement right here. You just be vibing, reaching for something within you. I know you feel this movement right here. You just be vibing, reaching for something within you. Nights in California, fly passing homes, yeah, right by sunset colored skies. Chilling by the ocean, driving up the mountain, soaked in the endless beauty all of you. You know it feels alright, alright, alright. Yeah. Can you see the vision?